So, my name is Taisha Johnson. I'm a freshman. I'm majoring in kinesiology. And for my outer paper assignment, I decided to watch the video Just Eat It, a food waste story by Jennifer and Grant Baldwin. And it was interesting. It opened my eyes a lot about food consumption and food waste. And my reflection part about it was that it just made me as a consumer of food realize how much I wasted food and what I could be doing to reduce that the amount of food that I waste. I thought that it had a lot of interesting facts about like the history of food wasting and how long it dated back to, like when it said it dated back to like World War II, and how they were saying how the government was like using propagandas and um, commercials to tell Americans that food is actually a weapon and to stop wasting food. So I didn't know that it was like dating that back in time, that it was a issue that back of a time. Also, I reflected a lot on like energy. Like I like the example they used of water, saying that a lot of the water that we waste, a lot of the food that we waste, the amount of water that it consumes is like taking a 90-minute shower. That really opened my eyes a lot too. Especially like vegetables and fruits. They say were the most wasted items for food items, and I wouldn't have thought that there was vegetables and fruits. But overall, I think that a lot no more people should watch it. It should get a lot of more attention so people could see that we actually destroying our energy sources and our earth way quicker than we think, just by doing the little things like throwing a plate of food out. We might not think that is much, to but it really is affecting us in a bigger way. It may not be affecting us as quickly, but it's affecting us slowly. So some of the key points that they made um, in the documentary that I jot down was that 40% of food gets wasted in America, and that's a lot of food. That was really shocking to me. Um, 1/3 of the food produced is not consumed, so people are buying a large amount of food and not using all of it. And 1/3 of the food is consumed is not produced is not consumed. The experiment that took place in the documentary was with Grant and Jenny, and it was a 6-month experiment where they had to survive off of wasted foods. And they basically went to like their brothers and mothers and people that they knew houses and took all of the old foods out, and they went dumpster diving, and they took those food and made meals out of them. And it was a negative and positive experience for them, because the positives was they actually had real good quality food that a lot of the grocery stores was dumping and putting to waste. So they found good quality food and it was able to survive. But the negatives is that there's just way too much food that's being wasted and being thrown out, good food that could be put to use, and it was making them depressed. So that was interesting. I never thought like that the grocery stores really threw out good quality foods like that, and it just go to waste, like with all the homeless people that don't have any foods, and all of the third world countries that don't have the same um, privileges we have, that could be going to them, and it's just being wasted, and it's sad. Um, some other key points was that the producers of the documentary inserted these words and definitions, and at first I didn't know how it connected to the documentary, but then at the end I put it together, and one of the first words was perfect. And it was basically saying like a lot of the Americans, a lot of people buy food in the grocery store based on how it look, based on the cosmetics of the food, and not just because it's the food that they need. They rather pick a prettier apple, a prettier peach, a prettier, bananas that's not brown, the yellow bright ones, rather than just picking the bananas. And that's also a reason why food get wasted. Um, and then another interesting part of the documentary was the things that the farmers have to go through when they're harvesting the foods. Like they have to choose between what they ship off to be sold to customers, and then the amount of food that's left over that's just as good as the food that they shipped off, but it's going to waste because it's not what's going to sell, but it's the same thing. um some more key factors was, like, it had a statistic that said in New York, a study showed that most of the food wasted comes from households. So that was interesting to me because I would think that like the large grocery stores throw out the big dumpster bins of foods each week. The food that's expired, the food that not selling, but it's actually households that produce the most wasted foods. So that was some of my key points. My personal identity in this is that I worked at a fast food restaurant, so I kind of seen and experienced at the end of our shifts or when we closed, my managers would just tell us all the food that got brought back to the store or that nobody came to get or that was just made and never sold. We just throw them away. And I always wonder why they wouldn't just give that to us to bring to people or bring home. And they said, it's corporate that said, you have to throw the food away, you can't take it home. And that was always like crazy to me how food just got wasted. And there's so many people that's hungry that needs that food, that can have that food, but we just threw it away. So I feel bad. My part in it is it's just so many people out there that food could be valuable to the lands and the amount of money and work that these farmers put in to harvest these foods so that we just don't show them enough appreciation by just throwing it out like it doesn't matter, or picking over a certain tomato or apple just because it doesn't fit quality the cosmetic qualities. And it makes me appreciate farmers and people that um, companies that produce food a little more, because they really work hard summer, spring, winter to produce these foods over time, and even and all of the product doesn't get used, or people just take food for granted. And I think that food is a limited source on this planet. It's not always gonna be here because it's so much more than just food. It's energy that we put in our body. It's the animals, and we have to feed. We It's a chain. So I think